everyone, welcome to Slavstvuyte. My name is Dina and I'm your host. In the past month, we've been discussing verbal aspect and imperative. In the previous episode, we explored the South Slavic group, and today we're going to be talking about East and West Slavic languages. Before we start, I would like to remind you that Slavstvuyte is a completely self-funded project, which means that all of your donations are more than welcome. If you like what I do, you can support me on www.𝐍𝐄𝐖 Thank you. So as I mentioned, last time we discussed how strict South Slavic languages are when it comes to using non-finite verbs when expressing a prohibition. If you remember correctly, we had one South Slavic language that kind of stood out. Slovene. I mentioned that Slovene uses both non-finite and finite verbs when it comes to expressing a prohibition. And the examples that I provided show that Slovene, in this manner, is closer to West and East Slavic languages than it is to the South ones. So now the time has come to talk about the East and West Slavic languages. And those two groups do not have what we call a periphrastic imperative. The truth is, East and West Slavic languages do not have what we call periphrastic negative imperative that we found in Bosnian, Serbian, Croatian, Macedonian, and Bulgarian. So they're only left with one single option to form a prohibition, a particle ne plus the verb. In the previous episode, I told you that Old Church Slavonic, the first Slavic literary language, used both non-finite and finite verbs in negative imperative. And that is somewhat true for the modern East and West Slavic languages. But let's check them out. What we need to distinguish now, what we haven't so far, is prohibitive from preventative. In the South Slavic group, that is in Bosnian, Serbian, Croatian, Macedonian, and Bulgarian, we kind of didn't need that distinction because we had the periphrastic negative imperative. But in this case, we do need it. Let's take a look at some examples to show you what I mean. The sentence, "Don't turn on the lights," is prohibitive, and it will be expressed through a non-finite verb. So in Russian, "Не включай свет." In Ukrainian, "Не вмикай світло." In Czech, "Не запиняй світло." So far, so good. Non-finite verbs in the negative imperative is something that we're kind of used to by now. But let's see what happens when we have a preventative rather than prohibitive. Imagine a situation where your child is on the playground, on the swing, and you want to tell them with worry, just please don't fall down. In Russian, you would say, "Только не упади." In Ukrainian, "Только не впади." In Czech, "Prostě не spadnout." On the other side, in Bosnian, Serbian, Croatian, this is exactly the situation where you would need to use a periphrastic negative imperative. Samo nemoj da padneš. In that case, finite verb form is being used. So there is one important thing to mention here. The difference between whether you're in control of the situation or not. You're in control of the lights. You can turn them off and turn them on whenever you want. But the truth is, you cannot control whether your child is going to fall down from the swing. And this is exactly what plays a major role in whether you're going to use perfective or imperfective verbal aspect in West and East Slavic languages. And dear friends, that is all on imperative and verbal aspect in Slavic languages. Thank you very much for listening. You can always find me on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, and I would be more than happy to hear from you.